Hello and welcome, my name is MiniBetrayal and this is Factorio Megabase. This is actually the second time I've tried to record this episode. Something weird went wrong with the first recording, and Windows wouldn't let me copy or move the file anywhere. So hopefully this one works. So this episode, I don't know if it'll end up being shorter, but I know what I'm doing, so it should take less time to actually record. Right, so most things are actually shut down at the moment. I'm not doing science, so things here are looking fine, but when the factory actually ramps up, we're actually now at the point where we're not producing enough power. So if we head over in the direction of power, down this way, here's one I prepared earlier. That should have all of the stuff I need to just plonk a second one of those, like there. Meanwhile, let's come up this side and get... where did they go? Every time it's the offshore pumps. I always have trouble finding offshore pumps in my inventory. But there's a green square there. Why can't I... Wait. So these don't fit next to each other despite the fact that there's a green square there. Okay, that's a bug. Or it feels like a bug. I might report that. Okay, so we've got two of those. We need some undergrounds. There. And there and there. Need some ordinary pipes there and there. We need to fill in the rest of this. Okay, and we also need to get some fuel for this. Now, one column of like that will use up a full yellow belt, so we need to go and get another belt of coal. Okay, so I'm just going to take a second belt of coal out of that 8 to 8 balancer down there. And we can see that I've already set it up so that 2 belts will go that way and the remaining 6 belts get merged down to the 2 to feed the factory and the smelting. The balancer should take care of it. Yeah, that looks like it's taken from all 8 lanes evenly. Excellent! Now, the next thing I want to do, the pollution is starting to encroach on a couple of bases again. Let's just hop to the map. Up here, there's... I guess this is kind of prior knowledge since I've already played this episode. But there's a base about there, there's one there, and one there. And I'll also like to take care of a couple of these smaller bases. So, to that end, I have constructed just a little thing down here, which I forgot to limit, of some rocket fuel, just to give us a little bit of an extra boost in the car so we can go a bit faster. The other thing I have done is in the armor, if I get rid of half of them, I built myself some personal laser defenses. And they make dealing with the biters so much easier. Anyway, where's that rocket fuel? There. So as we drive, there we go. We should get a much faster car now. Still not quite as fast as nuclear fuel, but yeah, this feels faster. Okay, so let's go around that way, deal with the biters, because we are already getting a few attacks actually from the bases in pollution range. Not very big attacks, but attacks nonetheless. And I will turn my roboport off now before I forget. Much more trees here than I remember. On second thoughts, I forgot to bring ammunition with me. Guns are useful. I could do most of it with just the lasers actually, but I will go and get some bullets as well. Okay, so this base we're coming up on up here. This one is a little bit further away from the pollution, but I will take care of it. We'll grab a tank. We'll grab that rocket fuel. Pop that in there. We'll put some bullets in there as well. We'll grab some grenades out of the car. I don't think I'm going to use any of them though, because look at what the lasers do. So yeah, an entire mid-sized base in a single pass, and that was all the repair to do. Alright, so let's move on. I'll take the car with me, actually. Actually, do I have enough inventory space? Whoa, stop the tank. The brakes on this thing leave something to be desired, but okay. Okay, so this one here isn't actually a base. This one is just some worms. That was easy. Right. I think I'll leave that one. Let's go and maybe there was a base here I was thinking of. Whoops, that's the wrong button. So let's head over there. I'll clear out some of the bases and then we'll head back home and get on with the next bit of the episode. Okay, so we are now back here with the uranium refining thing we set up last episode. I cleared out a couple of those bases around there, a couple of the smaller ones around here. Also did a little bit of exploring in this area here and found another large-looking lake, which is potentially worrying, but well, we'll burn that bridge when we come to it. The next thing I would like to do is, if we have a look in our actually let's put our legs back on. That's better. If we have a look in our chest here, we have 47 uranium-235, which means we can now set up some Kovarex. Now, if we I don't have one of those on me yet. Let me just borrow this one for a second. So if we look at the Kovarex enrichment process, in 60 seconds, this takes 4235 and 5238 and turns them into 41235 and 2238. This means net we change 3238 into 1235. Okay, now if we look at one of these, in 12 seconds, if we just assume everything becomes 238, in 12 seconds we make 1238. We have 18 of these machines, so we are producing 1.5238 per second. If we need 3 every 30 seconds per machine, I believe that works out as 30 machines on the Kovarex process. That is assuming we want to transform our full belt of uranium ore to 235. Now that's not entirely the case, because we do want to store some of the 238 for other purposes. So what we'll do, first up actually, let's just stop that for the second, and we'll move that like there. Okay. I'll also shorten that by 1, because if I shorten that by 1, then that can all be powered by a single medium power pole. Excellent. Okay. This will do the same, so it will split 238 north and 235 south, except this one will actually then be split again, and now only half of that will go up into storage. So, because we're only using half, I guess we only need 15 machines on Kovarex, but eventually this will back up. So that's my thinking here. Okay, then we need the Kovarex. So 30 centrifuges is a lot of materials. Luckily, however, seeing as this is the second time I have recorded this episode, I was able to prepare. So over here we have 3,000 concrete, a bunch of fancy inserters. We need, I think it's also, 3,000 gear wheels, 3,000 advanced circuits, and 1,500 steel plate. Now, if I've done my numbers right, that makes 30 centrifuges. Okay, now I can pick up this extra stuff I had to drop. Alright, so here we are again, back down here. I'm still crafting the centrifuges. The basic idea is we will have a centrifuge like there, with a belt with 238 and a belt with 235. Now they need an input and an output on each side, which is why I've picked up some filter inserters and stack filter inserters as well. Actually, I've just remembered we're not doing science. I am going to do this one, but after that I'm not going to do anything because there's another problem with the stuff at the moment up in the base, which we'll get to. But anyway, so if this makes Kovarex, what we'll do is we'll have an input there and an output filtered to 238 there. So this belt here, it'll pick up here, but then it will output there. That means it will have the option of picking up its own output, because remember, it still outputs 2 of the uranium-238. On the other side, we'll do a similar thing. So it will have an input there for the 235 and an output there filtered to 235. And that will just be continued across for 30. So remember, net we are using 3. Well, actually, we're using a net of 1.5 238 per second, which can easily fit on a belt, and we are producing a net of 235. No, 1 235 every 2 seconds, I think. I'm second guessing myself now. First time I recorded this, the numbers worked fine in my head. But anyway, if you just do that, you do have a situation where the belts might back up and things can clog. So I'm going to move that and just put it over here for a second. Okay, so remember, this output inserter will output on the far side of that belt. So what I want is for new 238 coming in to go on the south side of the belt, like that. We'll have a similar situation over here, so new 235 coming in, because this does produce a little bit of 235. That wants to go on the north side of the belt, like that. And then anything it outputs will go on the south side of the belt. Then when we get to the other end, we do something a little different. So let me pop these down. There should be power in there. Okay, so there's that. Now, even though this is a net consumer, because we're of the 238, that is, because we're feeding in 238, I still need one of those there for now. Then there's a chance that by the time we get to the end, there will still be stuff on the belt. So rather than have it backlog, I'm going to have this loop back to the beginning, like that. And then that's directly in the way. Here, I'll have a merger. That's not actually quite what I want. I want the merger there, because I want that belt to stay exactly where it is, like that. And I want to have input priority from this. So we'll prioritize anything that's already on the belt above any new stuff coming in. Does that make sense? Probably not. We'll also do something similar with this. So we'll bring this, loop it back round, and merge it in. In fact, I can do that like this. Input priority from the right that time. And any extra spillover will also be put on the north side of the belt. The idea here is that the south side of this belt and the north side of this belt will always be clear for new stuff to be output from the machines onto the belt. Because if they can't put out, the machines can back up and things can shut down, and that's just inefficient, right? Okay. So this side is fine now because it's a net consumer of 238. That's fine. Down here though, we're actually a net producer of 235. So eventually this belt will just back up and have nowhere to go. So over here, we have one more of these. We'll just extend that out just a little bit. Like that. And up there, we'll have an inserter facing that way. And a box. And then this one will have output priority to the right. So the belt will continue to back up when it gets backed up, the surplus will be stored. I'm going to move that just slightly to there. Just because I want to be able to extend that up for more chests as and when I need them. So that is my Kovarex setup. Then I just need to bring these two belts down this way. That one feeds into the 238. This one feeds into the 235. Whoops. Like that. And in fact, I'm going to do that differently. Because I could just let all of the 235 go through, and this first machine will eat it all. I've got 53 of them now, that's nice. But if I start that machine up, and when it starts running, which it will do presently, three, four, 5. I'll just take that extra stuff and put it in the next machine. So, because by itself, I think this can store up to 80 235 just waiting to go, which we don't necessarily want. Also, I probably should for that one, but definitely for this one, I'm going to output priority to the left fish. Just because there's no point having extra 235 stuck on the belt there. In fact, yeah, let's do the same for this one. Okay. Right, so it's quite a slow process. Each one of these takes 60 seconds to do. But many of these should now have... Okay, well the first 4 of them have the 238 in it. Okay, when this one is done, you'll see they get output on the left, like that, and then input to the right. So this machine here will just feed back into itself. And there's the one left over. We'll pinch that one, stick it in there. So there's quite a lot of manual stuff to do. With 30 machines here, it's going to take a long time to back up. But when it does back up, and it will, I think we should be producing a net of half a 235 per second, or 1 every 2 seconds. There's one. We'll pick up that one as well. Pop it in there, like that. Because then, by doing the manual separation like this, instead of having to wait for this one to have 80 stored up there, we can have 2 of them running at once. Eventually. Okay, so I will leave that running for now. I will come back periodically to check on it and do the manual balancing. But I mentioned that there was another problem. Which is why I'm currently not doing science. The other problem is this area here. This is all the stone production we have in the world, and there is a grand total of 4,000 of it left. Following this belt, this essentially ends up here-ish somewhere. Here. Going to make rails for purple science. The rest of it gets smelted into bricks, some of which goes to concrete production. That is off at the moment because it's run out of water. The rest of it goes to... Well, the rest of the bricks goes to walls for military production, and also stone brick for the electric furnaces for purple science production. Looking at these, I think every single one of these uses either military science or the purple production science. Which means we don't have enough stone. Problem number 2. There ain't a lot of stone on this map. There's a fraction up there, 7.5 million there, 6.5 million there. There's a bit down here, at least 25 million, because some of that's cut off. And that's about it, really. So, I mean, we could try exploring a little bit further out here, but then we'll have more biters to contend with, of course. So, yeah, we're a little bit stuck for stone at the moment. Which is quite an issue. So we are definitely going to have a think about where to get stone from. Is that some? Yeah, there's 20 million stone there as well that we could get. But there's a lot of biter clearing out to do. Mind you, once we're there, that might be relatively easy to defend. So we'll have to have a think about it. But that is a think about it to have another time, I think. I've definitely been recording for like a third of what I normally record for, because I already knew what I was doing. I don't know how long this will let it down to, so this may or may not be a shorter episode than normal, but for now, I will say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon.